Hey, this is Tim Pierce. I want to show you a tool that's used by a lot of the rhythm guitar players that I admire the most. Click the link below to check out the full episode on this in the Masterclass with tabs, jam track, and a full lesson on the rhythm and the solo. For the solo, I used the Swollen Pickle by Way Huge. Check out their link below also. One of the most important things I've learned as a guitar player is how to do a 16th note push right before the downbeat. It actually took me a while to get this, and I was trying to think of an example of a song that does this, and immediately I thought of Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs. It's from 1962. Check it out. Steve Cropper is only playing the last 16th note before each major downbeat. The other thing that's amazing about it is that he's playing the 4 chord over the 1 each time. So 16th note pushes have become a very crucial part of any kind of funk or R&B guitar, rhythm guitar performance that I do. See, if I strip it down, it's exactly like Green Onions, and it becomes only the last 16th note before every major downbeat. So the rhythm part on this can be looked at a couple of different ways. This is a D over G, and this is an A over D. This could also be called a G major 9, and this could be called a D major 9. I have a stereo delay up that makes things percolate and kind of dance. It's not that heavy, but it does kind of add a little bit of bounce. But the idea is for my hand and the rhythm part to provide the bounce. And the first important element of that is the 16th note push before the downbeat. 2, 3, 4. It's that last upbeat before the downbeat. So the way this strum pattern works, I do the upbeat, and then I grab air on the next downbeat, and then I strike the upbeat. See that? That downbeat is silent. And then I do up, down, up. And that's the secret to that particular rhythm stroke. 3, 4. So that's it for those 2 chords. Starts with this, and then there's a silent, well, I mute the strings with my left hand with just the fingers laying on the strings, and then 2 downbeats. But, as I like to say, the hand is always moving like the pendulum of a clock. Now there it's a little harder to mute the string. You kind of have to cheat a little bit because these strings are open, so I kind of move my second finger over here and mute the D string, and then the flesh from this little finger arching over mutes the high E string. That's another thing you could do. You could switch, since you don't need the bar finger, you could switch to these 2 fingers. Might be a little more comfortable, and pick up that chord, the second and third finger. Throw in something extra if you want. That always feels good. Any kind of muting and strumming at the same time, it feels good. And then I pick up the next phrase, either up here, you can do it there, or you do it down here. You just have to move it over to a different set of strings. Down here, it's 4, 2, 4. You just slide over, well, you just mash over the third finger to pick up the last note. And if it's up here, it's the same thing. but you're on 7 and 9. Importantly, I'm muting with my palm. I like these to be muted or half muted. You can open up a little and like mute the last note. Once again, that's a good choice. You can play with it. It sounds different on this set of strings and on this set of strings. The timbre is different. And if you mute more or less, it'll sound different for you. And then add that. Once again, it's that 16th up. So I'm throwing in the 16th note upstroke frequently. And there it's just a muted, just on the 4th string, 7th fret, just a muted thump. And then I grab this. So chaka on the high, these high 2 strings, muted here. And then I bar with my index finger, bar with the 3rd finger, bar with the 3rd finger again, and we're at 7, 10, and 12. Now let's look at the chords here. So here we have D over G, and you could look at it as a plain D chord if you want to simplify the concept. And here we have A over D. You could look at that as a plain A chord. You want to simplify that concept. And then we land home on B. I stop playing chords and I start doing kind of a funky single note kind of percolating part. You can come up here and finish the phrase up there if you want. We can do the whole phrase here. And now I'm looking at B minor as my home, basically. And that basically leads me to be able to do this. Basically, I mean, you could look at B minor, D, E as the basis for this piece, but it's just the top 2 strings, double stops. And once again, there's a 16th note push at the end. Check this out. So that's the heart of that. Down with the thump, just muted strings, and then grab. Do it here too. And those become 16th note pushes. And when you play that, it gets kind of magical when you play it against the bass and drums. Let me show you. One more time. And there's a little spot for a fill, and the fill I chose on the first half was. So we've got 9, 7, 9, 7, 7, 9, and I do that blues pull right there. Just bend it up a little. Now I don't have time to hit that last note, so it's implied. That's as far as I get. 9, 7, 9, 7, 7, pull. And the reason I stop early is that I have to recover and do that next 16th note push. I'm going to demonstrate this with the drums. I have to recover and get right back into that push. So then everything repeats exactly the same, except I do this dissonant note because I thought it sounded cool, so instead of going, I go. So that's 5 and 4 on the G string. Still muted, but it gives me this good dissonance against the B minor tonality. Then I come back up, do this exact same thing. And and I do a variation on the improvised phrase. So instead of going, I open it up, and it's kind of a Clapton-y blues thing. I just pull off from 10 to 7 and do that. 9, 7, 7. So it ends the same way. That's the first one, and is the second one. So on the first half, the chords were kind of static. The bass player, the guitar player with the octaver that sounded like the bass player, he was kind of staying on B with some fills. So I was able to do the chord changes, which I chose here. But now, in this second half, the bass player starts moving and changing chords. So he goes B, down to G, over to A, and then to E. So I kind of stay in one place. I kind of do this repeating double stop thing. And I do honor the chord changes a little bit, but I'm dancing around the same thing each time. So what this is, I'm fret 10 to fret 12 with a double stop, third finger mashed down on the top 2 strings. And then it moves over here on strings 2 and 3 with finger 3 and finger 1. Let me slow it down. So pretty much all downstrokes until the end. The last piece is 2 upstrokes. 6 downstrokes, 2 upstrokes. And on the second time around, I reverse the end. And I don't stop it, I play it legato and slide. The rest of the time, I'm muting with my left hand. Just by lifting the fingers up and choking the notes. That honors, the band goes to the A chord. So this functions, the first thing functions over the B to G. When the band arrives on A, I honor that by reversing this and doing what I see as B minor to A right here, but just a small piece of those 2 chords. That's the next piece, and that keeps me sort of on A, and then my destination is E. I see the E chord right here, and I play the piece of it right there. So that's familiar. Do it legato. And then I land, when the band lands on E, with my index finger doing this little piece of the E chord right there on 9, strings 2 and 3. So everybody's sitting on E. And so I've landed here, my index finger. I switch positions so that I can do more, and I'm anchored here at fret 7 with the index finger. So this is the E chord, you see it right there. It's a piece of it right here. Fret 9 and fret 7. Index finger there. And then I do the E sus. Come back to the E. Playing these 3 strings. Little finger on 10, third finger on 9, index finger on 7. And when the band lands back on B, I play the blues, do that double stop with the minor major bend, 2 notes, fret 7, index finger mashed, strings 2 and 3, landing on 9. And that's how the rhythm part finishes out before I step on the fuzz pedal and start playing lead.